Hello, excuse me. Hello, everybody. Ricardo Wilkins here once again for another decaf edition of Coffee with the Cowbell. So hopefully you've got your cup of coffee. Cheers. And you're ready to talk about teams. And hopefully audio is good. I'm always worried about that, but I think we are good to go. So with that said, hopefully as you joined, you saw that the topic I was going to talk about today is what is teams. And once again, this is coming from a conversation I had this week, right? Most of my topics come that way. And so, if you've been using Teams for a long time, you might think this topic, isn't going to do anything for you. I think it's still good to get a refresher. The person I was talking to, I feel like even though they were a Teams user, we laid out some things that kind of gave them a different perspective about what the different components of Teams are. So I feel like it could still be worth it. So hopefully you hang out with me and we and talk it up. So let me jump to my demo environment here. And let's talk about Teams. And of course, any comments you may have, you can throw in the chat. And I will try to monitor that. I think I'm getting better with that. So the first thing I'll say, so as I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking about, is Teams the Swiss Army knife of collaboration tools? Is that a fair assessment? It's a similar thing we used to say back when I was a SharePoint geek. That SharePoint was that Swiss Army knife, and I guess to some degree that is accurate. I don't know. I don't think I like it, but I've heard it said, and that's because with Teams, there's a lot of it rolled into one. Whereas you might get other products that are really good at meetings, or really good at chat, or really good at document management. Teams is doing all of that and then some in one package. So what is Teams? So one, it is meetings. Most of us might have gotten our introduction to Teams through its meeting component over the last 3 years. So it is meetings. Again, kind of calling out that it is meetings that are in the same pane of glass, the same space as the rest of your stuff. Okay, so it's not go somewhere else for your meetings. This is your meetings tool in addition to everything else. What is Teams? Teams is chat, right? And we'll dive into the different types of chat that it is. But Teams is chat or messaging. Teams is file management. Just kind of jumping around here. So Teams is files. We have talked in the past that we know that Teams is using SharePoint in the background, but your files are in the same place as everything else. Teams is, I like to say containers to some degree, but I mean what I'm talking about are the teams themselves and the tabs that contain things. So Teams is tabs to applications. So Teams is your place for accessing literally hundreds of applications. I mean, we're looking at kind of first-party apps here, but literally hundreds of third-party apps. Um, and again, calling out, these are hundreds of apps in the same place as your other things, your meetings, your chat, and so forth. All right. What is Teams? Teams is calling. Not out of the box. I mean, you do need to, that's something you need to add and configure. And in fact, even the demo environment that I'm showing here is not configured for a phone system, because if it was, I'd see a dial pad here. So we're essentially seeing, some calls in a sense, but this in my other environment is where I can make a call. I receive calls. I have voicemail. So my calling is in Teams. Teams is calling, and it's in the same place as everything else. You notice a theme here. I talked about, I probably should have used this as an example. Teams is files. It's my Teams files, which is SharePoint. It's also a convenient place to get at my OneDrive files without leaving Teams. It's also a place to get at my other files, my Dropbox files, my Box files, my Google Drive files, all of my files in the same place. And we essentially said, it is apps. It is workflow. If you start incorporating Power Automate in there, you can see that. Oops. Right. I also like to say it is bots, and I'm wondering in this environment if I've got a example. Let me see. Oh, I think so. Yeah, this is a little demo I made. So this is a pinned, if you can see it here on the side, a custom pin, of an app, which is a series of tabs, one of which is a form for submitting a ticket here. I haven't left Teams to do it. A company intranet, it's right there, basically 2 clicks away, maybe. And this one's old, so I think something screwy with that. It would normally go to the SharePoint site. And then it's chat in this case, and I don't think this one is fully fleshed out. I'm wondering if I've got the working one in here. I don't think so. But in the working one I have, this is a chat bot. I think I was using the default travel agent chat bot. You ask it some questions about travel, and it talks to you. So so it is chat with bots in terms of what is Teams. So lots of things there. And in fact, let me see if I can find the Wheel of Destiny, because there was for any of my SharePoint fans out there was a SharePoint wheel that was, if you were a SharePoint person, you had to know and use the wheel in your demonstrations. And I think it's cute that Teams has a wheel too. These are what we're looking at here. It's Office 365 wheels, which are massive because of all the things going on in Office 365. The one and there's the SharePoint wheel there. Oh, nice, my favorite. I was looking for something essentially like, I think this one, sorta, kinda. Let me make it. Oops. Let me make it bigger. Image in a tab, and then where's that tab? So if you can see that, yeah, this does a pretty good job. This may not even be for Teams specifically, but it is kind of what I was going for. It is document management, and we talked about files. It is, social aspects of chatting. There's a Yammer integration for those that use Yammer. There's a nice Yammer integration in Teams. It's your easy access to your intranets and sites related to your Teams, your meetings, and conferencing. Obviously, this is old. It's still showing Skype. It's your voice, your video. It's your project management here with Planner and tasks and things like that. And then certainly your email is still, in Outlook. I mean, there are ways to bring it into a tab, but you could say email Teams as your calendar too. I always, let people know your best experience with your calendar is still going to be an Outlook, but you do have a basic calendar here. Even if you're using bookings, you kind of see that here as well in the calendar area. If you're needing to do that, we won't dive into that too deep. But in a nutshell, that to me, that is at the 10,000 foot view, a description of what Teams is. All of the things that you do in one place. And speaking of visuals, and hopefully I can find it quickly here. What would be because I do have a visual that I have used in the past, and I don't think I'm gonna find it quickly, but I'm giving it a shot. Let's see here. I basically had a visual that showed all the things that we did with all the other tools now combined into Teams. And I don't think I'm gonna find it. It certainly isn't that old. I'll try one more time. Just gonna. All right, I didn't find it. Should have had that one ready. Yep, not gonna find it. So, but again, it was a visual that kind of showed all the different things that we used to do and all these different tools, and then kind of showed how Teams can get that done as well. I'll find that one day. Maybe I'll show that in the next session. So, given that 10,000 foot view of what is Teams, I thought I'd break down a few things, right? Because the first one is really what is Teams in terms of this left rail, and in particular. And if you're, especially if you're new to Teams, some of these things you might be wondering, what is the true intent of them? So starting with the activity tab, I'd like to call this the inbox for Teams. All things that are happening in the different teams that you're in across your teams in Teams are shown here from newest to oldest. So this is essentially your inbox, and in my demo environment, it's not very interesting, the content that's in there. One of my other personas might have a little bit more. Let's go see what Deborah's got going on and hers. So it's just a separate persona. I'll check out her activity feed. Not much there either. But yeah, this is the inbox of what thing, the notifications, the feed notifications of things that are happening in your team. If there is a way to filter it just on the things that I have done in Teams, sometimes that could be useful. I'm trying to find something in Teams and I know I initiated the post or I did the thing. So this filter could be active. I rarely use that filter, but it's there. But otherwise, it's all the things that other people are doing in Teams is in this feed. Because of that, using the filter that I just typed there, and if I was looking for something that happened in this NC460 team, you can see how it filters and finds those things. And then I can also I didn't want to do that. Can also filter on some other common things. Show me all the unread stuff. Show me all my app mentions, and so on. It's interesting. Anyway, so that's your feed. All things happening in Teams. If we go down, the next one is chat. And I had a interesting convo with that in terms of kind of describing that. To some it might seem self-explanatory, but depending on your perspective, one way to describe this is what you used to use Skype for, in terms of chat, either group chat or one-to-one chat. I also describe it as similar to your email inbox in the case that these are one-off, isolated conversations with people, whether it be a one-to-one conversation with a specific person like Nestor here, or whether it's a group conversation with multiple people. But I can have these conversations without them being in any team that I own or I'm a part of. We don't have to share a team to talk. We are just authenticated users in a group chat. It's also isolated, though, to us. I mean, there's no visibility of this to other people. It's private chat. Okay. In comparison, the Teams area is also chat. If we go to posts, but I would like to say it is chatting or working out loud. This is chats and conversations that the whole team can see and participate in. And so that's the main difference, is the visibility of this chat versus the private chat, one-to-one chat. I don't know what you may call it. Some people do call this private chat. I don't know if I like that phrase, just because it I don't know, depending on who you are, it may imply that like really nobody can see it. Now, a minute, it's not secret hidden chat. That's why I don't like private chat. But it is private in the sense that it's not visible to a team of people. It's visible to the people that you initiate the conversation with. So private in that regard. So in the team is working out loud, or visibly. And some slight differences in that chat, a little more bells and whistles when you're chatting in the team versus chatting in the one-to-one or group chat. But to me, that's a distinction. I know that's often people introduced to Teams. You may start your experience almost entirely in the private chat area. Even longtime users tend to do a lot of their chatting in this area, even with members who they are fellow team members with, in this Teams area. I believe that's for a couple of reasons. One is, I think, that sometimes there's a little bit of angst about talking out where everybody can see. I have a question. I don't need everybody seeing my question. I just want to ask it to this person. If it's not a great question, I don't want that all exposed. So private chat takes care of that. My opinion is you're also missing some opportunity for some collaboration with folks that you didn't specifically ask. Not everybody likes that, but I think it's cool. Sorry. So that's one. That's one big difference, is the visibility of it, and also the organization of it. As you can see, I can have a set of people, the membership of this team, and then have different conversations segmented by channel, as well as segmented by conversation thread. So within Digital Assets Web, that's the topic here, but then it's a mock-up review is the conversation here, right? And these threads or sub-threads, whatever you want to call them, that isn't a concept in chat. Chat is pretty much a single stream of thought. What you can do, and I've recommended it in other sessions here, is titling your chats like I'm doing here, to have a subject for them. I highly recommend that. I think that just is a win-win for everybody when their chats are named, as opposed to just showing the names of the people. But that's about as good as it gets in terms of organizing these conversations, is naming them. Otherwise, it's just a long stream of thought. I can't with Nestor here have a, I mean, I guess it makes more sense with multiple people. I can't have another sub conversation easily here. So that to me is an advantage of coming here. I can have these sub threads. I can, link, let's see, go up here, link to a specific post in this thread that if I want to point somebody back to it. Can't do that in the one-to-one chats. Things like that. They do both have files, which is nice, and which is why I think people find it easy to spend a lot of their time in the private chat area, because you really are getting you're getting a small little team to some degree, in that you get a place for you can chat, you can share files with each other here using your OneDrive accounts, and you even have some tabs. Not as many tabs as in the team, but you do have a few common tabs here. So one could get some good productivity out of creating a group chat here. You could fire up turn this group into, get a call with everybody in a group, all those kind of things, pop it out, all that good stuff. So I get it, when people spend a lot of time in the private chat area, but I do think they're missing some opportunities for some interesting collaboration by coming out into the Teams area. But my whole point with going there was the distinction between the chat and the chat in private chat and the chat in Teams chat. Okay. So those are the first three buttons. And then these first four, for most of us, are probably the four buttons we most cycle through in our Teams usage. Okay, calendar being the other one, and this one isn't very busy, but you come in here to see your upcoming meetings, and which I can't find any, and to easily join them with just a click. I really need to fill up this demo environment with more content, or to just to schedule a meeting. So I feel like most of us cycle through these four. And of course, if you got a phone system, you're using that for your calls and whatnot. So that's kind of from a what is team perspective. These four buttons, I think, personify Teams a bit. And then as we're in a team, what is Teams? Teams is channels. These nice, convenient containers for our topics that we want to talk about. Different types of channels, general, private, and as we talked about recently, the shared channel as well, which is still in preview. So it's not generally available yet. And then our tab, so our channel chat, our files, and more and more, they're adding functionality from SharePoint here so that you can get a lot of things done right here in Teams without having to actually open SharePoint to go get something done. And then our tabs, which also add some additional convenience, really, by placing key assets in a one-click way of accessing them. Right, so it's a OneNote notebook. I think this is a. Okay, that's the files. I got terrible names on these, so it looks like it's two notebooks in here. Try to find another one. Wiki. And then of course just others, right? Other apps that we can use. And so especially if, and maybe I'll end on this note, especially if you are a user of a lot of apps as part of your work, whether they are homegrown custom apps which are likely can be integrated into Teams, or whether they're a third-party app or service. Imagine having all of those as tabs or some kind of nice, elegant integration, and then suddenly all the things you do are in one place. And that's when this thing really starts to shine. You start to kind of see the value, if you haven't already. So to me, that's the 10,000 foot view of what Teams is. It's your communication, your files, your apps, all in one place. I sometimes call it the new Outlook, and I say that just because most of us, for all these years, spend most of our day in Outlook. It is what it is. I've also heard it called the new OS. The new, Windows is where we do all things on our PC, right? It's the underlying, platform there. And if you're an Office 365 user, this is your new OS, right? So just something to think about there. So I just thought a nice little reiteration of the basics would be interesting to kind of go through. If you are interested in more of the basics, let me know. I can certainly expand on this a lot more. I've got slide decks and all that good stuff for that, but thought that'd be helpful. And we'll see what we talk about next on our the next session. When we do, we'll grab our coffee, either decaf for this 9 p.m. I'm still trying to find a good morning time where we don't need the decaf. I might try to stick with that Saturday 8 a.m. Eastern. Is the last time I tried that. But in either case, we will check back with you for Coffee with the Cowbell. Cheers.